Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And today's range report is on one amazing firearm. This is the Knight Armament SR-25. Yes, the 308 pattern AR rifle from Knight Armament Company. It is a beast of a gun. Yeah, it is a big and heavy boy, and this thing is awesome. You guys know I recently reviewed the SR-15 and absolutely loved it. And Knights makes some of the best and most expensive ARs out there, mainly designed for the police and military market. Now, this particular gun is going to be designed more for long-range shooting, and I know that many of my range reports, I only have a 25-yard range available to me. However, I knew that would not do this gun justice, so some of my footage is going to be on a 100-yard range, so please make sure you stay till that part of the video to see what this thing can do at much further distance. But before I get into the things that I like and don't like about this particular gun, I always want to thank the people that make these range reports possible. First and foremost is the owner of this magnificent weapon, who lends so many of his great guns to the channel. He just goes by his first initial D. D, thank you so much. I am honored and humbled that you entrust such an awesome and expensive gun for me to shoot and review. I want to thank my Patreons as always, because through their monthly donations and support, they help keep the lights on around here. As you guys know, making content like this means I'm a YouTube bad boy, and they really do go a long way in helping me keep all this content coming. And if you're interested in becoming a Patreon for as little as $1 a month so you can get all these range reports early and ad-free, please go check out my Patreon link. And as always, I want to thank the person that provides all of the ammunition for these range reports, thus making them financially feasible. That is my good friend Mark from Brownworks. Yes, and here is my plug for Brownworks, like I put in every single range report. I know some of you guys are probably going, man, he talks about them so much, but I can tell you, he does so much for the channel. He supports me here. He gives me so much in ammunition so I can film these things without going bankrupt. So Mark is an amazing supporter of the Second Amendment and my channel. And so I want to send as many people his way as possible. So I know if you love awesome rifles like this, high-end and expensive guns, you probably have quite a few yourself. And many of those guns do take wood panel grips. And so Mark at Brownworks is the craftsman for you. He makes a wide variety of grips for a wide variety of firearms out of a wide variety of exotic woods and materials. His custom work is top notch. It is the best in the industry, and so is his customer service. He makes one-off grips that are one of a kind and tailored to your personal tastes and preferences. He makes more than just grips for 1911s, Beretta 92s, and CZ's pattern pistols. He also makes wood grips for guns like, yes, the AR-15. I'm telling you, if you want something that nobody else has, you need to go check out Brownworks. Check out these wood grips and panels for the AR-15. As I said, he's always looking to expand his product line and come out with products that are one of a kind and can be custom made and tailored to you. So please go over and check out Brownworks. I'm going to put a link in the description below and as a pinned comment, as well as a coupon code for 10% off your first order. Go over there and see what he has to offer. If you don't find what you're looking for, make sure to contact Mark, and when you do, thank him for supporting the Texas Gun Vault, and please tell him that the Texas Gun Vault sent you. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about what this amazing rifle is. Once again, this is a 308 chambered AR pattern rifle made by Knight Armament. And this is a gun that kind of pays homage to the inventor of the AR platform, Eugene Stoner. That's, of course, what the SR in SR-25 stands for, Stoner Rifle. And this is kind of an evolution of the SR-15. However, in history, the AR-10, the big boy, came before the AR-15. The AR-10 was originally designed by Armalite back in the 1950s when Eugene Stoner was working there as a gun that was supposed to enter the trials to replace the M1 Garand. Of course, the M14 won that contest, but Armalite took that design trying to make a rifle out of lighter materials and new machining techniques that could be a better battle implement, a better fighting rifle. And later it was scaled down to the 5.56 cartridge that we all know today in the AR-15, and that was sold to Colt. But the AR-10 never really caught on. There was a few countries that adopted it early on. One of them was Portugal, and I believe the other one was Cuba. Yeah, a pre-Castro Cuba. But because the rifle never really went into full production, it was never standardized. And the AR-15 is the gun that took over the AR market. And then later there was renewed interest in a AR that could shoot these bigger calibers. And Knight's Armament started to produce the SR-25, I believe, in 1990. Now, there is something about this rifle that you should note, that as I mentioned, because the AR-10 was never standardized, there are a few different AR-10 designs. And sometimes I've heard them referred to as the Knight's Armament design or the SR design, and there's the DPMS design. And that mainly has to do with the rear of the receiver, and they're not compatible. A DPMS style receiver has more of a traditional AR shape to the receiver extension, where the SR-25 has a little bit more metal down here, and those uppers and lowers are not compatible. Another difference that you'll find across AR platforms is the magazines. Now, the SR-25 does take what I guess was originally designed as a proprietary magazine. Now, Magpul does make these magazines, or plastic versions of them, and many AR-10 platforms take magazines that are this size. However, one of the Armalite companies, I'm not going to call it the original Armalite company because the name was sold, and I actually have one of the Armalite AR-10Bs. Now, this is one that I built from Armalite parts, and I believe the receiver says it was made in Illinois, so it's of that era of Armalite. The magazines are different. These will not interchange with the SR-25 pattern. These are based off of the M1A pattern or the M14 pattern, and that's because when Armalite came up with this particular rifle and reintroduced it, it was during the original assault weapons ban of the 90s, which had a 10-round capacity limit. However, magazines that were already in circulation were completely legal, and there were tons of these magazines floating around. So they modified them a little bit, which allowed them to use higher capacities in their AR-10s. Some companies adopted this magazine style, but many others adopted the SR-25. So if you are going to build or buy an AR-10 type rifle, you got to make sure you know what is compatible with what. So now let's talk about the things that I like and don't like about these guns. First off, it's a Knight's Armament. How can you not like a Knight's Armament? You don't have to like the Knight's Armament price, but you got to admit, Knight's makes some of the best and most innovative AR pattern rifles, once again, for the police and the military. These things are built like tanks, and trust me, you feel it when you hold it. In fact, filming this range report is kind of tough for me because this rifle is very heavy. It's already a really heavy rifle, and with this amazing Night Force scope on it, it's exceptionally heavy. This thing doesn't really feel like a battle rifle. It's more of a sniper rifle because of its weight, but you can tell it is built like a tank. I also like the fact that Knight's has modernized the AR lowers. You have ambi controls on both sides, and that's just kind of a nice modern upgrade that I would expect on all AR pattern rifles, especially one of this particular price point. The Knight's Armament rifles also have, I'm going to call it a proprietary gas system, but it's installed a little bit different. As you're going to see here, there is a castle nut here on the front where the gas system is. And that really secures the gas system, and I know that these systems are really finely tuned, and we're going to talk about that later in the range report. I'm also a big fan of the fact that this gun is a rifle. It's not a carbine. This has a 20-inch barrel. Now, when you're shooting a powerful cartridge like the 308, I think you definitely want a rifle, not a carbine. It's already loud, but man, the 16-inch barreled guns are super loud. And so the 20-inch barrel on this one is going to give you a lot of accuracy, great ballistics, and it's also going to kind of tamper down that concussion just a little bit. The other thing that I really love about this gun, and I mentioned this in my SR-15 range report, is the trigger. The Knight's Armament 2-stage triggers are exceptional. In the SR-15 rifle that I shot, I could shoot it really fast. Now, I'm not going to do mag dumps on this gun, but these are really crisp, short reset, and if you want to, you can shoot them fast. And the final thing I want to say that I really like and point out is the muzzle device. Now, Knight's Armament makes some really cool muzzle devices that are compatible with all of their suppressors. Hopefully I can get that into focus there. Maybe you guys can see it. This muzzle device looks a lot like the original AR-10s. Now, it's not the same, but these things do a great job in hiding the flash and have a very good degree of compensation. And of course, if you want to spend the money on an expensive Knight Armament can, they're compatible with all of those with their QD mounts. Now let's talk about the things that I don't like. And this is going to be really short, and I've already alluded to one of them. Number one is the weight. This is a very heavy gun, and with this optic, it's even heavier. Now, on their website, it says this thing weighs about 8.5 pounds to 9.5 pounds. It kind of depends on what sight and what configuration you have. Now, when it comes to my personal AR-10 from Armalite, this one weighs about 7 pounds, and I'm a big fan of that. In fact, the original AR-10, as I mentioned, was designed to be a lightweight battle rifle, and so they used aluminum and polymer. And so to get a rifle of this weight meant a lot to the soldiers in the battlefield. Now, this Armalite rifle is probably not going to be anywhere as cool or as accurate as the SR-25, but just carrying it around, the weight of this thing is so much nicer. I could carry this all day. Now, when it comes to the SR-25, no, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to shoot this very much in a standing position. I'm definitely going to shoot this bench rested. This rifle is very heavy and especially unbalanced towards the front of the firearm. The other thing that I don't like is an aesthetic thing, and it has to do with the upper receiver. These upper receivers on these AR-10s can kind of look a little bit blocky. I have never liked the look of billet style uppers. Now, I don't think this is a billet upper. I definitely think this is forged metal. It just looks a little slab side to me. It just doesn't have those nice contours that you're used to seeing on AR-15s. Now, I do have to say that my Armalite AR-10B does have a pretty good upper receiver. I like that. It looks more like a traditional AR-15. So that's the things that I like and don't like about this gun. I know I've been exceptionally long-winded in this one, but there's so much to unpack and so much to talk about. So let's get this thing to the range, and I got quite a lot of footage for you. So we're going to start off just making sure it functions and that it works. So I'm going to set the target out at just 15 yards. Yes, trust me, I'm going out to 100. Don't worry. I just want to first make sure that this thing shoots. I want to shoot it offhand. I'm not going to bench rest it, even though this thing is really, really heavy. Just want to make sure it functions, see what the trigger is like, see what the recoil is, and let's just put some rounds down range, see how it shoots, and see what I initially think. And as I expected, it worked great. My only complaint, once again, is that it is heavy. And so if you're shooting 20 rounds like I did, the front of the gun kind of starts to droop just because it's that heavy. But it's exceptionally low recoil because of the weight, and the gun just seems to be tuned and so well balanced when it comes to the recoil mechanism. I really can't complain. It's really loud, but shoots like a 22. It's awesome. And the trigger in this thing is fantastic. All right, so now I'm gonna set the target out at 25 yards, and I am gonna put this rifle on a sandbag. I'm gonna shoot for the head on this IDPA target. I really don't expect this group to get any worse. I actually expect it to get better now that I'm shooting it from a sandbag. So at 25 yards, let's just make sure that this group continues to be small and see how well this thing shoots, and then we're gonna go out to further distances. And that is so much nicer to shoot, especially resting on a sandbag. And of course, that grouping is really good. I had no doubts that this gun would continue to shoot great. I mean, come on, it's only at 25 yards and we're shooting a 308. So I really think that this gun is definitely designed more for bench resting or to use a bipod like the owner of this rifle, D, has it set up. I took it off for the range report, but I added it back when I got here to the garage. But this gun is just heavy. It's not fun to shoot offhand, but if you're gonna shoot from a bench, it is awesome. So I really think the application of this particular gun is designed more for hunting, for sport and long distance shooting as compared to maybe the SR-15. And I actually think that this is where they did get away from the initial philosophy of the AR-10 a little bit too much. But for the application and how I'm shooting it, it is outstanding. Now, before I do set out the target out to 50 yards and then 100 yards, my friend was on this range trip. He's built a couple of AR-10s, and I was curious what he thought. He has never shot a Knight Armament rifle before, so I wanted to give him a shot and see what he thinks about this particular gun chambered in 308.
Fired 3 bullets.
And I think my friend was more enamored with this amazing Night Force scope than the rifle itself. He loved this scope, but he said this gun was very easy to shoot. And his main comment was, it seems to be perfectly gassed. And I completely agree. For shooting such a powerful cartridge, you don't smell the gas and you don't feel the gas. It is just so perfectly tuned. I am very impressed with that. And that just goes with the reputation that Knights has when it comes to their direct impingement firearms. All right, so now we're gonna set the target out at 50 yards. I'm gonna go back to the rifle range and I'm gonna start seeing how this thing shoots at further distances. So we're gonna see what this scope can do. I know it's gonna be absolutely outstanding. So let's try for 50 yards, see if I can zero this scope and fine tune it. We'll try it again and then shoot at 100 yards. But for right now, let's just try 50 yards and see how she does. I am just so impressed with this rifle. The recoil is so light for such a powerful firearm. It is such a pleasure to shoot. And I do need to adjust the scope just a little bit. So we're gonna do that, fire 10 more rounds at 50 yards, then go out to 100. But man, is this thing just a pleasure to shoot. I could shoot this thing all day long. It's an expensive rifle, but I'm starting to think it's completely worth it. All right, let me see if I can tune this scope up a little bit. And then once again, we will go to 100 yards. So I zeroed that group a lot better. So now it's time to go out to 100 yards, and I'm excited to see how this thing performs at that distance. Now, of course, at 100 yards, that's not even close to the maximum range of this rifle, but it's all that I can do right now with where I am shooting at the Frisco Gun Club. 100 yards is as far out as I can go. But as I said, normally I do my range reports at a 25-yard range. This one is at 100 because this gun needed to be done justice to. So here we go, 100 yards on the center of this target. Hopefully, I won't embarrass myself. And I will take that group all day long. So for me, the gun is great. Now remember, I am not a long-range marksman. That's not what I have trained to do. So for me, putting that group on paper at 100 yards with ease says a lot about this gun and especially this scope. It is honestly an amazing package. It is so much fun to shoot, and I'm really growing on the 308 cartridge. It is just simply awesome. So now I want a Knight's Armament even more. Don't get me wrong, I love my Armalite, but this one definitely is a little bit nicer, just a little bit on the heavy side. So what are my final thoughts on the SR-25 by Knight's Armament? Well, this gun is a tank. It is well built. It is feature packed. It is so finely tuned. The barrel is amazing. It seems to be exceptionally accurate for an average marksman like myself. It is so consistent. The trigger is awesome. I really only have one rating for this rifle, and it's going to be 5 out of 5 stars. And I'm going to give it that rating because this gun is not designed as a battle rifle. It really is designed as a marksman's rifle. And in that capacity, 5 out of 5 stars. Now, as a home defense rifle, it only get about a 4 out of 5 stars just because of its weight and length. So if you're interested in this gun, buy it for the long range shooting. That's just my personal opinion because it really shines at the further distances and it is just so darn well built. So wow, what an amazing gun. I am so honored and humbled that I got to spend some time behind this thing. I really want one, but man, oh man, are they expensive. If you guys go and look at Knight's Armament products, everything that they sell is just, in my opinion, way overpriced, but you get quality out the wazoo on these things. These things are just so well built. They are tanks. They're so much fun. They're light recoiling. That's it. 5 out of 5 stars for what it is for the Knight Armament SR-25. What an amazing rifle. Thank you so much, Dee, for lending it to the channel. It means so much to me. This has just been an amazing experience, and I don't get to review 308 rifles too much on my channel, so that was a treat as well. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Is this a cool rifle? Do you like it? Would you ever want one? Do you own one? I know I have a few Knight's Armaments fans in my comment section that often say they're amazing. So I look forward to seeing what they say about this particular rifle and my thoughts on it and see if it matches theirs. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.